This one is called Foot Up, Foot Down. So the final project of the year in ECF 5, that was around the theme of daring and what does it mean to be daring? It fell under the PYP inquiry of how we express ourselves, and that unit, people often take it to mean creative expression, like how can we express ourselves as artists, or how can we express ourselves through music. I think we wanted to do it differently. We wanted to do something a bit daring, in fact, with that theme. And we chose something that crosses all areas of learning. So you can be a daring writer, you can be a daring scientist, you can be a daring physical explorer. We really wanted to look at this at the end of the year when the children have really established themselves in school, and kind of look at what else do they want to do, where do they want to go next in their learning. So we agreed to go across the 3 classes and the Atelier. The Atelier supports and extends the projects in the classes with this one question really: what does it mean to be daring?
So what do you think we've learnt about being daring then?
Also being safe.
Also being safe, yeah.
Safe, daring. Going on the ladder and feeling how it feels like to be daring.
So I think for us as educators, to be daring is really important too. And I think one of the most daring things that we do as educators in early years is that we work together with the children. So what that means is that we could co-construct with them. And I think that's a really daring thing to do. It's really important to us. We really want to listen to the children and have them be involved. So we collected these moments together as a team, and then we came back together and we shared these moments of daring that were collected from our forest movements, where we saw the children being daring in the forest, or in their learning moments of daring where they were having a go of writing where they mightn't have had a go before. And together we collated this and looked for the threads that ran through it and looked for the deeper connections and how we could use those to then provoke further learning and further understanding about daring. For me in here, they used a ladder and they were climbing a ladder to build their daring roller coasters through the classroom, and they were talking about how that felt in their bodies, and we were listening to that together, and I think that's probably how it worked in here.
So as part of our unit of inquiry, how we express ourselves, we were exploring the idea of being daring. And the children explored that in many different ways, being daring physically or with their language or with even just hanging out with new people. And they really wanted to share that learning. And initially they wanted to be part of a gathering where most of the elementary school would be able to see what they had done. But I soon realized that if we went to a gathering, it would be a much shorter sharing session. And I wanted all the children to have the experience of being daring on a stage. And so we created the Cabaret of Daring to share with our classmates in ECF 5 as well as our parents.
In the Atelier itself, daring had already begun, and it began very tiny. It began super, super small. This is some micro daring that some of the children in one of the classes had begun to put real time and effort and precision into making the tiniest pictures, going as small as they could and really daring to explore the line between what's visible and what's invisible. They became very inventive. This is Platon's micro ocean. As we introduced needles, just sewing needles, many of the children said, "I can't touch that, my mum says don't touch it." That we began to draw with them. You can see some of the small first illustrations here where the children mapped out lines in little dots to make emblematic symbols, often the heart. And from there, we decided to go one step further in daring and introduce the sewing machine as a drawing device. They worked out the technology, actually, of micro drawing, many different ways of drawing patterns, ways to produce symmetry, ways to represent faces and animals, this kind of thing. And we often, in the Atelier, then flip over. So we wanted to do some really huge making. And we decided to take this inspiration of creatures and life in a very daring place, the Mariana Trench, to build some huge structures. We looked at the volcanic chimneys inside the Mariana Trench here, and we decided to build these in Kepler. So that involved climbing up ladders, nearly reaching the ceiling, and making these places that were both physically difficult to build, but also quite daring structures.